You're listening to 515, the Ultra Podcast, the show that invites you into the lives of people who make up the Ultra family. Here's your host for these conversations, Larry Ryan.
Thanks, MJ. Following up on our unprecedented full coverage live stream of Australia, today I will speak with each of the champions to learn more about them, their experiences, and how these two Kiwis took top spots on the podium. If you tuned into our live stream last weekend, you know we witnessed absolute history in Noosa. Today's guest didn't just survive one of the most brutal 3-day, 515-kilometer endurance tests on the planet, he completely conquered it. Stepping up to the Ultraman distance for the first time in his life, he paced himself like a seasoned veteran on day 1 and day 2. And then on day 3, he dropped a staggering sub-7 double marathon to leave the field in his dust. He is a primary school teacher, a blossoming multi-sport coach, and a race director. Joining us from the Coromandel Peninsula in New Zealand, the reigning Ultraman Australia 2026 champion. Please welcome to the show the man of the hour, Mark Thomson. Mark, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Larry. Thank you for your very kind words.
Well, you earned them this past weekend out there in Noosa. You were the one going around the course and laying down the 515 kilometers like a seasoned veteran. I'm sure that a lot of that comes from intensive training and the coaching that you got and your past experiences. So we want to talk about some of those things. But first of all, I'm looking at your background. I mentioned that you are a primary school teacher. Can you tell us where you are zooming in from?
Yeah, right. So I'm hidden away in the library at the moment of Hikawai Primary School. It's a small school. We have just over 50 students here, so 3 classrooms. I teach the year 3 and 4s, so they're probably 7, 8, 9-year-olds, I guess. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to call this place home. It's a very small, quiet, rural town. We're about, I guess, 10 minutes from Pawanui and Tairua, so not far to the beach. And I actually live right next door to the school, so it's very handy for getting to and from work, being able to sneak home quickly when you've got a long run to get in before dinner or something. So very handy. But no, it's a beautiful spot here, that's for sure.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. And I know that the students of your school were supporting you in the race. I have a Facebook post here that I'd like to read to you. It says, "We encourage our children to show our Totara values every day, but then some of us go ahead and exhibit them out there. The ultimate show of resilience and ambition, Mr. T only went and won Ultraman Australia this week, an epic effort spanning 515 kilometers. We just thought you'd finish it, Mark, not win it. Sending congratulations as an entire school. The kids were watching, and to say that it was inspiring doesn't quite cut it." What does it mean to you to know that, you know, your community, your school, were supporting you and watching you through this?
Oh, mate, it was, very, very humbling. I was getting lots of messages of support and little videos from the kids over the 3 days. It was pretty special, to be honest. And then got back here, first day back at work actually yesterday, so Monday here in New Zealand. And there was a bunch of cards, and they'd made little certificates for me. Got up in assembly, and they interviewed me as well. So, yeah, no, it was very, very special. I like to try and lead by example, and I felt like we did a good job of that. And it'd be nice if some of that rubs off on them, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say you're in a small town, so you probably see these kids all the time, not just like at school during the day. You're like in their neighborhood. You go to the same grocery store, so you must be a big figure in their life.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's one of the wonderful things about being a teacher is it actually, I think, catches kids a little bit unaware when they do see you in the supermarket. It's kind of like, what are you doing here? Why aren't you back in class? But no, it is nice. It's a small community, so everyone knows everyone, and there's been a lot of pats on my back lately, which I sometimes feel a little bit awkward about, but it's definitely been nice.
Yeah. I understand you're a bit more of a quiet, humble kind of guy. So winning a big race like this has got to be a little shocking to you, I'm sure. Do you think that your home environment kind of helps to cultivate that quiet, unbreakable mental space so that when you're out training or you're out for 10 hours a day in a grueling race, you're able to handle it better because you're used to a quieter kind of area? Or what does it do for you, do you think?
I think there's probably elements of that are spot on, Larry. I don't know, I've always just liked to stay out of the limelight and let my kind of actions speak for me. I'm very fortunate to have a pretty good relationship with my coach, Matty Kerr, who I'm sure we'll touch on a bit later. And one of the reasons why I do get on with him so well is I think him and I are quite similar in that regard. And it's always been one of the sort of hallmarks of our relationship is that we don't necessarily have to communicate a lot, but we just get out there and do the work and stay consistent. And I guess that all came into fruition over the weekend. We were able to stay calm and just keep a lid on everything. And as you say, in endurance sport, that's a really important aspect. So that was the mantra going in to the weekend. Just be calm, consistent, and controlled. And sometimes it works. And luckily this weekend it did.
Well, I understand that Matt was a teacher before he was pro and coaching as well. So do you think that connection for you guys, a similar attitude, or does that help?
He definitely understands, I guess, the demands of the job, because it is pretty all-encompassing teaching. It's not a job that you can kind of just leave at the end of the day. You're always thinking about it. And in a way, getting into endurance sport has been a really nice way for me to just clear that headspace, because you do get a lot of time to think on your own. So, I think definitely being a teacher is also, it's been another element that Matt and I share, and it works.
Well, one of the things that happens when you are now an Ultraman champion is you have to start doing things like this podcast and maybe come out of your shell a little bit more. Has it set in for you yet that you're the champion of Ultraman Australia?
It still sounds a little weird. I think I've mentioned to you before, I certainly was chatting about it at the finish line, that very good mates with Carl Reed and Simon Cochrane, who are both obviously absolute weapons and have won this event, Carl twice in a row and Simon just lit it on fire. Mm-hmm. So there were moments during some training that I was like, geez, could I even imagine to be kind of spoken about in the same circles as those two legends? It's still a little bit like, I'm not sure if I belong there yet, but it's been nice, that's for sure, to be able to finally win a race. I think I've got second at it feels like every race I do, I'm coming second. So it's nice to win one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your name is now there on that line that says champions list with them. So get used to it. You earned it.
Thank you.
I would like to take a moment just to play back your why video to you. I don't know if you've ever watched it again since you recorded it. It's a shorter one, so I'd like to have a little listen on that, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Sure.
Kia ora te whānau. My name is Mark. I am from Hikawai on the beautiful Coromandel Peninsula of Aotearoa, New Zealand. This is my whānau. doing this event? I actually don't know. Probably similar to quite a few of you right now who are questioning your life decisions in regards to entering this race. But we're almost there, so the suffering can end shortly. I've never been to Noosa, but I'm looking forward to getting over to the West Island. Word on the street is the weather over there is pretty good at this time of year compared to over here, so that'll be nice. And then go and get amongst some theme parks down in the GC once the race is all done. So enjoy your last few weeks of training, legends, and we'll see you there. Ka kite anō.
So, do you remember that? Have you watched it back?
I have watched it back.
Okay.
I was one of the final athletes to submit it, and I do actually remember asking Jeff if I could get my partner to do it for me. But no, I thought I'd better front up and do it.
Yeah.
But,
No, I thought it was great. And the honesty in it of saying, probably similar to quite a few of you, questioning your life decisions about entering the race. How do you feel about that now?
Yeah, well, actually, when I was just watching it now, and I heard myself say that, I think the reason why I responded in the way I did in regards to not really having a reason for a why is that there wasn't a definite point or a time where I was like, I'm going to do Ultraman. It's kind of probably just been an evolution of events that I've taken part in previously, and I'm kind of always just looking to push the boat out a little bit in regards to what I do and to find the limits of where I'm at. And after having done a few different kinds of endurance events previously, Ultraman was one that I'd not done before and had heard about it. And I really love the fact that it was kind of a small, only a small field, pretty low key, very kind of do it yourself kind of event. I really love that aspect about it. Mm-hmm. And it was my partner who's just said, look, you're not getting any younger, so let's just have a crack and go and do it. And here we are.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's great to have that family support. And obviously the family is a big part of what you do. You got them even in your video. I don't know a lot about the Australia-New Zealand, rivalry, but I think calling them the West Island, were you taking a dig at them there?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. Well, you conquered the West Island.
Yeah.
In fact, the New Zealand conquered it with winning on both the men's and the women's side.
Yeah, we had a good 3 days out at us Kiwis. It was kind of nice to let them know that we'd come over and taken their event out. It's good.
Yes, again.
I'm sure they'll be looking to get their own back in Wanaka.
Yeah, and that's the thing is now it's fitting that you and Nat Dodd would win because they're going to be coming over to the Eastern Island, I guess you would say, to put on their first New Zealand in December. So that's going to be something exciting to look forward to as well.
Absolutely.
Well, let's get into your 3 days of racing. You did the swim in a time of 3:06:46. What was that as far as what you were aiming for?
Well, swimming is, of the three disciplines, probably my least, I would not say my least favorite because I absolutely love swimming actually, but definitely the discipline that is my weakest. So if someone had told me on the beach that morning before we got in that I could take a 3:06, I would have absolutely taken it. So it was all about just staying in touch, not blowing up because, you can't win the race in the swim, but you can definitely lose it. So again, just staying controlled, swimming within myself, but not mucking around out there, knowing that there were going to be many people, a lot of Australians who they're just always good swimmers. Will be getting out of the water in front of me, but not to panic because there was a lot of kilometres in front of me after the swim. So yeah, other than copping a paddle in the face from Sarah, my partner, who was paddling next to me, the rest of it went pretty well.
Yeah, it's the thing about having couples, crewing is sometimes it's good, sometimes could lead to bad.
Yeah, she was. I think she was more worried about her beach landing in the
Oh,
kayak than anything else all weekend. She literally spent weeks worrying about that, but she ended up doing a great job, and she even saw a turtle out there. So that was, I think, a bit
oh,
of a
nice.
highlight of her trip. Yeah.
Yeah. So with the rest of day one, you went on to a 4:27:41 on the bike. That's nice and fast. You were second fastest on the bike for a total time of 7:34:27 on day one, which had you in third place. But there was less than 4 minutes between the top three men in the race. So that's like
Mm.
crazy close after all that distance. You must have been in touch most of the course with the other two in front. How'd the day unfold for you on the bike?
Yeah, so got out of the swim and I actually asked my crew not to tell me where I was. I didn't really want to know. I just wanted to get into my zone and just start riding because I do love riding my bike, and began picking off a few athletes. And yeah, actually saw those two top guys for most of the day. We were never far apart, and there was on day one quite a lot of backwards and forwards, little out and back sections.
Yeah.
So you're able to keep
Get a
an eye
good
on them.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, see how they were looking. Make sure you're looking really strong when you come past them.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, it was surprised that we were so close together still at the finish, because coming back into Noosa, it felt like every roundabout I was hitting traffic. But speaking to the other guys, that was exactly the same. I mean, Noosa on a Saturday afternoon's pretty busy, but that's another thing that makes the race so cool and unique, is that the courses are open and you've just got to deal with that.
Yeah.
There's no point getting upset or angry about it. It just is what it is, and it all worked out. We were pretty tight. Yeah.
Yeah. And it didn't change much over day two, because on day two, by the end of day two, you, Doug and Anthony were only 5 minutes and 58 seconds apart, with only 40 seconds after
Yeah.
421 kilometers and 10K of swimming, only 40
Yeah.
seconds divided first and second, which is even more crazy. Tell me how day two went for you, and what did you think of that day two course?
Yeah, well, I actually only just looked at the official results today,
Oh
and
yeah.
I knew that Doug and I were close. I thought it was a couple of minutes. I didn't realize it was that close. Um, yeah, but those two guys were such strong cyclists, real absolute powerhouses on the bike. And so again, it was just about staying really steady, trying not to ride too surgy. My crew, which I'm sure we'll get to later, were just immaculate on both all days. But day two, they were just super dialed. So they were constantly giving me information, because on day two, I did want to know where everyone was. So
Yeah.
they were feeding back to me where people were. And when I knew that the gaps weren't blowing up, it was reassuring that how I was riding was how I wanted to ride. I didn't want to, because for me, day three was always going to be my strength. And when I sat down before the event, I kind of had an idea of if I could be 45 minutes, within 45 minutes of the top, I would take that. So, yeah, being 40 seconds.
40 seconds.
Right, yeah.
So what was your strategy on the bike? Were you just trying to keep it nice and steady? Were there different strategies for when you got to the hilly regions? What did you do out there?
Pretty much just riding really steady. I'm not a data guy, and Matt Kerr, my coach, I think it frustrates him, but I do not run or bike to power or heart rate
Oh
anymore.
wow. Okay.
I stopped doing that a couple of years ago, and it's 100% to feel. So I kind of have a reasonably good. I mean, when I'm training indoors on the bike on Zwift, I am riding to power, but out on the road, it's to feel. So I kind of knew where riding for 280 Ks I could sustain, and like everyone, we're all trying to ride at a pace where we don't, drift. There's no point in starting, smacking out 40 kilometers an hour and then crawling home. So just staying steady, fueling lots, eating lots. So that day 3 is being fueled for on the bike.
Mm-hmm.
And so that went really well, and just ate a lot, drank a lot, rode pretty strong, and got to the Sunshine Coast. And I think every single one of us was hanging out to get to the Sunshine Coast, because as soon as we turned left up the coast, we had that gorgeous tailwind and just silky smooth roads for 30 Ks. So that was real fun. That was nice getting there.
Yeah. What about your nutrition strategy? Are you mostly on a liquid nutrition, or were you taking in solids as well? And how often would you stop to take nutrition, or was it all on the quick handoffs?
Yeah, so I ran 100% on tailwind, is how I feel. And so aiming to get through what I'm supposed to get through. And my crew were taking care of that and ensuring that I was drinking enough.
Right.
And that was all on the go. So just no stopping, which just makes it nice and easy. I think I did start having some ice cold Cokes and Coca-Cola in the drink bottles towards the end, which just changes the flavor, right? And that black gold, you can't go wrong. So
as long as you don't start it too soon.
Yeah, I know that's the thing, but that's how we rolled all 3 days. It's what works best for me. So that's how we did it.
And was there somebody on your crew that was responsible for tracking all the nutrition?
Yep. So we had one guy who was purely responsible for driving. My partner Sarah, who was crew captain, she was the navigator. And then we had 2 others in the back of the car who their job was nutrition. So there was a lot of notebooks being filled in, and they wanted to know when I'd been to the toilet and all of that drama. So it was good.
Well, let's move on to the run day then. This is the day that you were looking forward to. You've paced yourself well. You've shown your patience in day 1 and day 2, keeping in the fold and keeping even ahead of where you were hoping to be with your pacing. Marco tore out at a 4 minute per kilometer pace. Did you give any thought to him as you watched him run away?
I thought, good luck, mate, because he went out very hot. But I could hear you guys chatting on the live stream. Simon was doing a fair bit of running with me early on, which was nice. He was lighting my way. And I heard you speak about Marco's marathon time, and I was thinking, okay, it's a solid marathon time, but a double marathon is different. And I kind of, by the time I got to see my crew at about 6 Ks in, I think it is, I actually asked them what kind of a gap do I have on this guy overall, and I think it was big. So I knew my goal was always to run around 7 hours. And I think in order for him to beat me, he was going to have to run 4.5. So I knew that was safe. But it took me till the halfway point to catch him. So he put in a solid first marathon. But once I passed him and no one had come through, and I was getting feedback from the crew that my gap back to Doug was slowly growing, I kind of knew it was mine to lose at that stage. But we'd picked a pacing plan that wasn't ridiculous for me, and one that I felt like
be ridiculous for me.
One that I knew that I could maintain. There was always going to be a little bit of drift, after 3 days, but I keep looking at my watch, and the pace wasn't declining. We were sort of 55 Ks deep, and it was still sitting around that sort of 440, 445, which is where we were aiming. So it all went really well, and I think a lot of that was due to the fueling and the pacing on days 1 and 2. Like, there was no point for me anyway. I'm not a big power guy, but I wanted to be standing on the start line on day 3 with enough in my legs to be able to run a 7-hour double marathon. That was the whole plan of the race. So I guess that's what guided days 1 and 2. And then fortunately, day 3 went to plan. So here we are.
Yeah. And I understand that Matty ran quite a bit of that with you.
He ran pretty much the whole thing. Like, obviously,
from where he was allowed to run.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he was, from where he was allowed to run from the race, but we were getting, I think his partner, his girlfriend, found out that he was running a lot further than what he was meant to be, and he might have been a bit in a trouble when he got home. But, it was actually whilst I was on the massage table at the end of day 2, and he mentioned to me that he'd be happy to run 80 odd Ks.
Right.
That was never the plan. The plan was maybe 20 at the back end.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I kind of thought about it for 5 seconds and thought it would be good to have someone there just to keep you accountable,
right.
And to carry all your stuff. Like, it's a catered run.
Yeah.
No need for any vests or anything. You just give it to Matt. So, so he jumped in as soon as he could, and he just locked into a pace, and all I had to do was follow him. It was really nice. I'm going to remember that run for a long time. We didn't have to speak a lot together, but you can't help, on those last sort of 3 or 4 Ks, reflect on where we've come as a team, both Matt and I. And again, we didn't have to say a lot. It was just a little fist pump, and it was enough to kind of acknowledge that, we've come here and we've achieved what we came here to do. Even though we didn't speak a lot about winning, it was always a quiet little goal. We were going to show up and give our best, and I think we did that, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, well, it really sounds like you and Matt designed a perfect race plan and then were able to follow it perfectly as well, which is the rarity in something that goes on for this long. Not only this long of a race, but this long of the training leading up to it, because so many things go wrong in that, 6 months or a year going into it, because life, and you were able to put it together, and I was astonished at the way that it just came together for you, and it looked so good, and I did notice that you and Maddie were not really talking so much while you were running together,
no.
but you had that sixth sense, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're both kind of slightly introverted humans, and which is probably why triathlon's really good for us, because you spend a lot of time by yourself. But yeah, we kind of knew the plan, and we just sort of locked into it, and there was no real need to speak. I mean, occasionally we'd have a bit of a chat about something that we saw funny happen on the road or whatever, but other than that, it was business. And yes, and there was even a point, I think there was like 5 Ks to go, and some unlucky young lady got knocked off her bike by a car at a set of traffic lights coming into Noosa, and he took off to help her, and I started like, I'm pretty sure the rule is you have to be with your pacer for the last 10K. So I was more worried about getting in trouble, but he just kind of sauntered on back up to me, and everything was good again. So no, it was a really nice run, and it was cool to be able to take him on a long run, because the furthest he's ever done is 42.2. So it was a big PB for him as well.
Yeah. Well, let's take a look at that finish. I have your finish from the live stream as well. Let's take a look at that.
Let's welcome you out the beach, all the way from New Zealand, one of our first timers, crown champion. We welcome him to the Ultraman family, Mr. Thomson.
Well done, guys. Yeah. Awesome. Well done.
Unbelievable.
Oh, big hugs. So good.
That was a long hug.
And there he is, your champion for 2026 Australia, Mark Thomson, out of New Zealand, another New Zealand champion. This could only lead the way to a New Zealand coming up. So that's Sarah, your wife there at the finish line. You're giving the big hug with. Let's talk a little bit about her contribution to the crew and obviously to the training leading up to it and everything that counts when you're at home and needing that support.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, where do I start with Sarah? She's an absolute rock star. She's relatively new to this game. We've been together for maybe just over a year now, but she's just jumped straight in and is probably my biggest fan. And the role she played over those 3 days, she was crew captain. She was navigator as well, which she was incredibly nervous about, but never put a foot wrong. And as you mentioned before, it's the at-home stuff, like the training that it takes to participate in an event like this is pretty relentless and at times feels very, very selfish. So she is the one that kind of knows what it was all like. It was about 4 weeks prior to the event. I had a really bad crash out on the bike and took a bunch of skin off and got all knocked up, and I phoned her from the side of the road, and I was pretty upset because immediately you just think the worst, like, oh my goodness, how could this happen now? We're going to have, we're supposed to be going to Noosa in 3 weeks. So they go through all of that stuff with you, and then I think I know it's harder being on the sidelines watching than it is to be the athlete. Like being the athlete, how you're feeling, you're in control of that, whereas they are just sitting there literally having to go through it all and then hope that it all goes well. So seeing her, getting her to the finish line first, and there's some great photos taken at the finish line of that emotion pouring out of me towards her. It was kind of like holy crap, we've actually done it. Because again, we didn't really talk a lot about winning this race, her and I. We kind of spoke a bit about coming over and wouldn't it be cool if we got to day 3 and my legs were feeling great and we were in the mix. But I guess part of me was a bit scared to talk about winning it. But no, it was I guess almost more relief getting to the finish and seeing her and just being like, thank you for everything you do, because it's huge.
I noticed that she was wearing a no code hoodie there, and no code events, and I mentioned that you're doing some race directing as well in the intro. So can you tell us what is no code events? And I believe you and her do it together.
We do, yeah. So No Code Events is our events company. We have 4 specifically trail running events here on the Coromandel spread throughout the year. And then the name No Code Events comes literally from my absolute love of Pearl Jam. And one of the first gifts Sarah bought me was the No Code album on vinyl. And we were at the time trying to come up with a name for our events company. And I've always wanted to do things and create events that are low, not a lot of fuss, sort of take them back to when I was at school and you used to go to events just because they were awesome to do and they were wicked courses and it wasn't all about the fanfare and the fancy medals and all of that sort of stuff. Right. Kind of very similar to how the ethos of Ultraman, right? It's about the people and the place that you're in. And No Code kind of, I guess, encapsulates that in a way. And so that became the name. And we started with 1 event and 2 and 3 and 4. And I'm constantly trying to come up with more and more, but it's quite busy. I have an absolute newfound respect for all race directors for any event because, geez, it is so much easier turning up as an athlete and participating than it is being the one putting the event on. So it's been really nice to sort of, I guess, give a little bit back We're a small community here, and it's great to provide opportunities for people to get out and be active. And we're sort of dipping our toes in the coaching realm as well at the moment. So it's all very exciting and nice to be able to use this event and this success that we've had in this event to promote what we're about and what we can provide people.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. And again, you said you're in this smaller, tighter community. For your events, then, are you drawing in people from further away for these then?
Yeah. Like in our previous event, we're getting people from as far as Wellington, which, I mean, for people around the world, that's probably not going to mean a lot. But New Zealand's not a huge place, and there's not a lot of people that live here. But if someone's willing to drive 900 kilometres to do your event, you know you're doing something right. So
that sounds great.
Yeah, it's cool to be able to see that happening, and literally standing at the finish line as an event director is as exciting as it is the athlete. Just seeing people achieve things that they've never done before, and being able to put your arm around them and welcome them home is pretty special. So.
And I was looking on your website. I saw that one of your races was basically pay what you want.
Yeah, so that's our next event. You just pay whatever you want. It's a 6 and a 12-hour endurance race, kind of based on, I guess, the backyard idea. It's about a 6K loop, and people can come and do as little or as much as they want. They can run as a team or an individual. And there's another event over here in New Zealand. It's called the Blue Lake 24-Hour Challenge, which is held around beautiful lake down in Rotorua. And I was lucky enough to do that a couple of years ago as an athlete, and I just fell in love with the format. And it was free to enter, but you can donate to the race.
Yeah.
So we totally copied their format, where we donate half of all of the money raised to a charity that looks after teen mental well-being, which is, I mean, across the world, a pretty big thing at the moment. So it's nice to be able to give a little bit back, and just it's another event which is low fuss but massive amounts taken out of it from the athletes. We had people turning up and running a 50K when they'd never even run 10, because all of that pressure is taken away from you. There's no number that you're trying to hit or time, that's coming up. So come on over, everyone. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like with your philosophy of, how you're running your events, that it was just natural marriage for you then to fall into the Ultraman Ohana and be a part of that. Tell me a little bit about what you knew going in and what you've taken away from the Ultraman experience.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't know a whole lot. I knew as much as what I chatted to Carl and Simon about. Obviously, I knew the numbers, the distances of each day, but what I didn't expect was just the closeness and the real love that is shared between everyone, and that's what you get from it being such a tight, small event. Like, you literally, you feel really heard and loved and embraced by everyone there. The moment you turn up, the event director knows you by name. They know all of your crew by name, and by the end of the 3 days, everyone knows everyone. And it's something that I would encourage anyone who has the slightest desire to take part in endurance events to go and do, because it's very special. It's nothing like Ironman, which in itself is a wonderful event as well. But this just kind of, it's a beautiful event, and I can't wait to do another one.
Well, does that mean that you're going to be signing up for a New Zealand one then in the future?
We'll see. It would be nice to do one and one of it, but geez, that lake's going to be chilly in December. I tell you that. It's not going to be like Noosa in May.
Yeah. Well, we've had a chance to talk about your partner and your coach. Tell us who else was on your crew.
Yeah, right. So my dad is he's an absolute legend. We've been doing this for quite a while now. A lot of things that I just make up, like I'd love to go and run this distance or cycle this distance and just go and do it by myself. I'm not necessarily driven by doing events, more personal challenges, and he's always the first to put his hand up and say, yep, I'm coming and I'm crewing. And geez, he stood on some dark corners in the middle of nowhere many times. So he just froths over it. So he was there. A good friend of mine, Matt Eggleton as well, who has recently moved to Australia. He came up to Noosa and has also been one of Matt Kerr's athletes as well. So it was nice having someone in the crew who understands racing and that side of it. And then my brother, who just absolutely bought the fizz. He lives on the Gold Coast and I think is my biggest fan. So he was the driver, and he definitely added the fun to the car, I think, because there might have been a few times where it got a little tense. But it's always nice to have that guy that just chills everything out, breaks the mood, and just having your brother there's pretty cool anyway. So that was our crew for the 4 days.
And then is he the one that took you around to the amusement parks as well afterwards?
Yeah, so we shot down and spent some time on the Gold Coast, and it was nice to actually went out on for a bit of a run with him later in the week. Well, I was on the bike actually, following him running. We went and hung out with them for a bit. So it was nice to have a bit of a holiday after the event.
Yeah. I know that during the race, you also had some special shoe messages. Where did those come from? Who was inspiring you with the shoe messages?
Yeah. So I woke up on the morning of the third day and went to grab my shoes and noticed that there was a whole lot of writing on them. And my brother actually, I think it was his idea after I'd gone to bed, because all of us Ultraman athletes are pretty boring. I think we're all in bed by about 5 o'clock. Had got all my kids to write messages around the sides of the shoe. And, despite the fact I couldn't actually read them on the run, I definitely looked down at them, 3 or 4 times throughout that run just to, when things were getting a little tricky, to just kind of draw on that love and knowing that they were all going to be at the finish line waiting. There was a nice little touch. Yeah.
It was a full family event for you, and that makes it really special, obviously. We were just talking about, you were saying, you would advise people to go ahead, take the plunge, do this sort of event. But what would you tell someone who's maybe just, a little too afraid to make that jump? Like, is there any advice now that you're the champion? You have to start giving advice to other athletes. There's an Ironman out there who's just like, I'm not sure I'm ready for this. What would you say?
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, it's funny you mentioned the fear, because that's how I select my events that I want to do. If something's making me feel a little bit scared and a little bit like, ooh, this might be a bit above me, then that's kind of what drives me. Because, once you achieve that, then, you really open up your options. I would just say go for it. You get to go to bed at the end of every day. It is 3 days of racing, but there's also wonderful moments in between the racing, which is very different to, let's say, like running a miler where it's all spread across one big day. This is intense racing, but then really nice moments with your crew afterwards and resetting and restarting and going again. I say have a crack, go for it. I don't know if anyone ever leaves Ultraman thinking, oh, that was a waste of time. Like, I know I've only done one, but all of the people that were in that room on that Tuesday at prize giving were absolutely buzzing. I'd jump, I'd get over it, people.
Well, we talked a little bit about this, but what's next for you? What kind of races or adventures, or just, your own personal kind of things that you want to go out and do with your dad? What's on the horizon?
Yeah, well, I did have another miler locked in for December here in New Zealand, in Nelson, that I was going to be running with my brother. But now that Wanaka is here, and it falls on the same day actually in December. Sarah and I were actually talking about it today. She's like, well, why not? So could be an option. I definitely do want to do another one. There's a 24-hour track race that I did last year in Australia that I want to go and have another crack at. That was another one of those races that I got second at. So that was a different kind of challenge, that one. So I'd love to go and have another go at that. I think doing an event for the first time, you go in pretty naive and you learn a lot. So it would be nice to have another go at some of the things that I've only done once and try and hone the art of racing for a long time.
Yeah. Well, have you looked at that Wanaka course? I hear that day two's looking challenging. I'm sure you're familiar with the area.
The Crown Range. I think they go up the Crown Range, don't they? Like, that's some serious climbing. But it would be a totally different challenge, which I think is what's cool about it. It's great that they've made the course different to what you would experience in Australia. I mean, absolutely stunningly beautiful down there. It's a beautiful part of the country. So it would be lovely to compete. If not this year, it's definitely on the cards.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do it this year, you better get talking to Jeff right away, because I know it's full and he's had people on the wait list for a while. And now people after the Australia have been already contacting him about New Zealand. So there's high demand there. Maybe you can pull the champion card on him. I don't know.
We'll have to give him a call. I see there's a couple already that we raced with last weekend have already chucked an application in. So that's good, though, that it's healthy and that the sport is growing. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and obviously the Kiwis need to defend the titles right now. So congratulations to you and to Nat for going over to Australia and taking those titles. I'm speaking to her right after this in this episode. So we got both the champions on this episode. So thank you very much for taking the time to tell us about your race and your experiences and what life is like in your part of New Zealand. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Larry. Thank you.
Don't you guys go anywhere. Like I just said, coming up in just a minute is my conversation with Nat Dodd, Australia's female champion for 2026. But first, I wanted to give you a quick sneak peek into the guest on my next episode, Ray Zahab. Ray is an explorer and ultramarathoner. He first gained international recognition after running the entire length of the Sahara Desert, more than 7,500 kilometers in just over 100 days. Since then, he's completed expeditions across some of the most extreme environments on Earth, including speed record journeys to the South Pole, winter crossings of Siberia's Lake Baikal, solo runs through the Atacama Desert, and multiple Arctic expeditions pulling sleds across sea ice. This episode is the second of my Beyond 515 series that reaches to others completing ultra events. Here's just a short sample of that upcoming episode. For people that are watching or listening, you got to go back and see how little you were able to take and survive on. I assume that comes from this years of experience. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so years of experience and knowing what we can get away with. And I've done a lot of desert stuff, really hot desert stuff with Stefano. So we both know each other really well. So the goal was to I've crossed the Atacama Desert. It was one of the most difficult things I ever did, actually. In 2011, I started the furthest point north and I went south 1,200 kilometers, minimal resupply solo, middle of summer. Very difficult navigation. It was a really difficult desert to cross.
And this is considered one of the driest deserts in the world?
Driest place on Earth. And I crossed in Chile. In Chile. I crossed literally through ground zero of the driest place on Earth. I was between the Andes and the coastals. I was in the valley, in the hottest place as well, in the Atacama Desert. Atacama Desert proper, Yeah. So between those foothills and the Andes. So you're down right deep into the Atacama Desert. Now, that was 1,200 kilometers. It took me roughly I think it was 19 days to do the expedition. And so
if you want to hear more of these amazing stories that Ray shares, tune into the next episode of 515, the Ultra Podcast. This would be a great time to remind you to follow the podcast so that you never miss an episode, and it's right there in your library. All right, now let's get on to speaking to our second champion from Australia, the female champion for 2026, Nat Dodd. My next guest recently finished the 2026 Australia race in a total time of 25:16:26, becoming the 5th fastest female to ever complete the event. She is a woman who regularly finishes her Ironman races in the low 10-hour time frame. And shortly before going to Noosa, she did her home race, Ironman New Zealand, as a training day and placed second in her age group. Joining us from Blenheim, New Zealand, the 2026 Australia female champion, Nat Dodd. Hello, Nat. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Larry. How you going?
I'm doing well. So it's been about a week since you raced in Noosa while we're recording this. How's it feel to be the 2026 champion?
Yeah, I don't know that it's actually sank in properly yet. I think being back home now, it'll probably sink in this week, and I've already warned the guys at work that I might have the come down. So, yeah, no, it's pretty cool though. Like just thinking about it, and yeah, kind of what the last 6 months has been like to actually have finished it and be on the other side is, yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah, and that is a real thing. The depression that comes along with finishing one of these things. You've been aiming for this for the longest time, and then you finally finish it, and it's like it's a great high, and then it's like, oh, it's just like a big gap in what you're doing.
Yeah. Post-race blues are definitely a thing. I'll be easy on myself this week and just get through the week.
Yeah. Well, when we were looking at the why videos and reading the information about why people are taking on the challenge, you said that you love the challenge, the training, and seeing how far you can go on a day mentally and physically, and that you love pain. Did Oz deliver for you on the pain and what you wanted to get out of it?
It certainly delivered a challenge. Every day was a little bit different. I, to be totally honest, didn't go as dark as I expected to on any of the days, to be fair. And I don't know if that's just because I trained well or whether I think the whole having a crew jump alongside you, particularly obviously on the bike and the run, it makes it hard to go dark, I think. Just having their energy. And I mean, my crew were outstanding with their energy. So there definitely wasn't, I don't think they got out of the car once and were quiet. So it's really hard to go dark if everyone's so buoyant around you.
Yeah, they were dancing up a storm.
Yeah. So that definitely helped. But I mean, it was a challenge, obviously. Like, it still was a challenge. And certainly, after day one, I think I had a bit of dehydration from the swim maybe, and sat there that night kind of like, oh, have I gone too hard already?
Yeah, and it's not only your crew, it's all the other crews that you're going by as well that are lifting you up and giving you that extra energy.
Yeah, definitely. There's a team that had, I couldn't work out what was happening. I was biking up and I could see my crew car and they shot off, and then there were two people just stood on the side of the road, and as I got closer they were like waving lollies at me, and I was just looking at them really weirdly, like, why are these people, there must be someone right behind me. And so I kind of just looked at them, didn't say anything, and they're like, do you not want them? And I was like, oh, sorry, didn't realize you were talking to me. And I was like, oh, well, yeah, I will take those lollies. Thank you. But it turns out that their racer had asked for some mineral water. So the crew card shot off to get that and had left them on the side of the road. But obviously, like 220K, I think it was, or something, it just didn't make sense what was happening. And so, I felt really bad because I'd looked at them so weirdly.
Yeah, there's definitely some strange occurrences out there on the course.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure if you tuned into the pre-race podcast that I did with Jeff and Tim, but we were saying that the female race was definitely going to be the one to watch because we felt that there were a number of you that had fast Ironman times and who were serious about doing your best, not just getting it done. So can you share with us maybe some of your goals and how well you were able to meet those before like going into the race?
Yeah, I did actually listen to some of that podcast. Yeah. And funnily enough, my only goal to start the race was just to finish the 3 days. Mainly because I had no idea how I was going to react, and biking is not my strongest element. And so obviously with it being, a lot of Ks on the bike, and knowing that Brett, and knowing that Brett and Anna were powerhouses on the bike, I just wanted to finish. So after listening to that podcast and hearing Tim go, well, yeah, she's definitely going to be at the top there fighting, and I was like, oh, there is some expectation.
Yeah. Well, I think with your Ironman results, all kind of in the low 10s, including at the World Championship, there's got to be some expectation put on you based on those times.
Yeah. I guess I always want the best from myself, and so that's what makes it easier to train as well, because I'm intrinsically motivated rather than extrinsically. So does make that a bit easier. And sometimes I put the pressure on myself too much, but that was my main goal. I guess I had a time for the swim, like I wanted to do sub 3:15. I was stoked with this swim.
Good.
And then the other two I didn't have goal times for them. But I definitely completed my goal.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I said in the introduction that you used your Ironman New Zealand as kind of a warm-up to give you a tough day to get through a training day. And you said I think it was in a Facebook post, that you feel like you finally had your nutrition sorted based on that day, where you came second in your age group. I think you said that you use precision nutrition. How did that nutrition plan work out for you on the Ultraman? And did you go strictly liquid, or were you putting in some solid foods as well?
Yeah, so interestingly, for Ironman New Zealand, I actually came away from that race going, wow, I am not as fit as I thought I was. And so I was actually like a little bit down about the race, and just I was a little bit down about racing and training in general. I just wasn't enjoying it at that point for some reason. And it's weird because kind of my numbers, like when I talked to my coach, we were kind of like, oh, sub 10 could be on. But it was also like, I asked the question, I was like, do we think I'm fit? Which should have been an indication that I probably wasn't in the right headspace for trying to go sub 10 anyway. But race week always chucks in different headspaces, I guess. So I actually came away from that race going, oh, that wasn't good. I don't know. And the only good thing I took out of it was the nutrition. Was I'd gone probably the 4 races before that. I I'd always had to stop on the run to go for number 2. And sometimes it was urgent, sometimes it was just build up, but there was clearly something not working for me. And because I'd seen all these people trying precision and talking about it. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go and see what happens, because at this point I tried so many other options. So did a few months training on it, and I was feeling way better at the end of my 6-hour bikes. I didn't feel as tired or as lackluster as I had done previously. So I was like, well, this is a good sign. And then if I was running off the bike, I was doing that comfortably and there were no issues. And my long runs, there were no issues. So yeah, Ironman New Zealand was the first proper race with the nutrition under race scenario. And yeah, just awesome, stoked with it. So that was the big positive that I pulled out of New Zealand, was that I've got my nutrition sorted now. And that's, in the back of your head when you're running a marathon, you don't want it there sitting, oh, are you going to need the toilet soon? And having to mad dash to the toilet. Whilst I was concerned about how I felt about racing at the point, I knew I got my nutrition sorted.
And nutrition's a big part of Ultraman, a big part. So having that should have given you some good confidence.
Yeah. And I did know that once I got to Ultraman, it would be fine, because it was a new event, which always helps. Fresh things are always good. And knowing that it was a new challenge for me was definitely going to help. And then, and just having a week with a few of your best mates.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to do 8 to 10 hours of exercise a day to achieve that, but it's still, a week away.
Yeah. Well, let's jump ahead here and start talking some of the numbers that you were able to produce at Noosa. You were 3rd out of the water, under 3 hours, so you definitely beat that goal of 3:15 in a time of 2:57:02. Being 3rd out of the water, what must have been making you feel pretty happy. And I know you had your husband as your paddler. You wanted to help him get out of the water a little bit quicker. Tell us about your swim.
Obviously, in New Zealand, the water temperature, the highest it gets during summer is 19, or where I am anyway. So when we first stepped into the water, I'd obviously gone out for a little swim the day before, but when we first stepped into the water on Saturday morning, I was like, oh, this is toasty. I like this. I don't do well with the cold at all. So, real stoked when I walked into the water and it was so warm. And there weren't really any big waves either. It was pretty calm.
It was a nice day out there, yeah.
Yeah, and having talked to CJ afterwards, he was like, man, you got the flattest day out there, which I knew swimming as well. One leg out was super easy. Coming back, a little bit of wind chop maybe, but nothing really. And then the second leg out towards the sun was an interesting one, because there was no visual point on the land you could aim for. You're just looking straight at the sun. So definitely trusting that Chris was taking me to the right place, which is also a new thing for me as well. In all my other races, obviously Ironman 70.3, you've always got a buoy that you're aiming for, so you're constantly looking forwards. Whereas for this, it was more of just looking sideways all the time. Yeah. I mean, I occasionally looked forward, but you're really just trusting that paddler is taking you where you need to go.
Did the two of you have a chance to train together, or was it just the day of?
We talked about it several times during the build-up, but he was doing coast to coast as well, so he was doing his own training.
Okay.
And then, it just never eventuated. But I was happy that, I think he was probably more stressed about it than I was.
Of course.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to make you swim longer.
Yeah. He definitely didn't want to make me swim longer, because when he was out there, we got to 8K mark. And I said, how are you feeling? I don't know. I obviously want to see how he was. And he was like, I'm so cold. And I was like, oh, really? I'm roasting in here. Like, I could definitely do with taking this wetsuit off. So I was like, oh, I better swim a bit faster and try and get him home quicker.
Yeah.
So that definitely helped. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was good. And we'd come up with a game plan of feeding every time I went around the buoy closest to the beach.
Right.
So, every 2K, have a feed. And so I had I had 3 500ml flasks on the kayak. So I just made sure to just kind of get half of those down each time. And then either a couple of lollies or a gel. And that worked perfectly. And I think I was probably taking 30 seconds, 45 seconds to feed and then off again.
Yeah.
Felt pretty comfortable with the swim, but comfortable in that I could push myself and I wasn't maxing out. So, real stoked with that. I always get a bit of a niggly rest around about 7, 8K, and that came in as normal. So it was just about concentrating on alleviating that as much as possible. And I did ask Chris a couple of times. I was like, oh, how far, whereabouts in the field are we sitting? Which obviously for the first 4Ks, first 4K was kind of easier to work out. And then after that, there was just a sea of bodies and you didn't know who was where or what. So I knew I was quite high up, but certainly to come out in third was, better than I expected, and sub 3 was fantastic. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then you got out on the bike for day 1, whipped around that 145K and finished the day at 8:01:44 for 7th place on the day. And you had Anna Longdale right there with you with less than 7 minutes behind you. So the end of day 1, how are you feeling about your goals for the day, and what was your recuperation plan, and how are you thinking about setting out on day 2?
Yeah, so as I said, I remember from Ironman, I always come out to swim in front of Anna, and then I just see this bullet fly past me. And I always look for the names on the bikes, and I recognize it. And I know I've seen Anna go past several times. So fully knew that I was going to be hunted down by Anna and Brett. I didn't really know how far behind they were, but I just was expecting it to happen. So it was quite good because I could kind of, expecting that to happen, I could just focus on what I was doing. And I do love the hills. So, a few hills in the course is always good. Just made sure I was fueling on the bike properly. And I did chuck in, I mainly do fluid in gels or chews. But for those, pretty much once I go over 3 hours, I start to chuck in solids as well. So peanut butter sandwiches, they're my go-to. So we'd come up with a game plan that when I finished each day, there was going to be a recovery smoothie ready at the finish line. And for day 1, I'd requested salt vinegar chips. So we just made sure we had those ready. And then make sure I got the massage done pretty quick as well. So kind of not mess around too much at the finish line, just feed, eat, feed and eat, that's the same thing. Hydrate, and then get the massage done and get back. And we were very lucky that Dawn, so CJ's wife, came over as well, and she just cooked our meals for us in the evenings.
Oh, yeah. So
we'd get back to the apartment and she was already cooking up dinner. Nice. So very, very lucky to have that.
That could be a big advantage, because a lot of the times, the crew are the only people there with with a racer, and you all have to deal with that. Let's go get food after the day's race. So that's a good advantage.
Yeah, it was amazing because I fully was expecting to just get back and start, cooking dinner. And she was like, no, I'm going to come and I'll cook you dinners. So that was awesome and definitely helped everyone. And then, once I got back to the apartment, just made sure I stretched and if I had any niggles, get the massage gun or the ball into them. Yeah. I was pretty good after day one, though, in terms of body-wise. I felt good. As I said, I felt a bit drowsy and I had a headache from about halfway through the bike. Couldn't shift it. So I was just hydrating as much as I could that evening and took some Panadol, I think, when I went to bed and kind of just right, hopefully in the morning I wake up and the headache's gone. Woke up next morning and felt really good. Headache gone. I was like, thanks. I've sorted that one, so that's good. I think it was just dehydration from the swim. Yeah. I think it's just warmer in the water than I expected, and that's probably why.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And so were you checking in with your coach at the end of each day as well? I understand you have a coach with a pretty good resume. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about who your coach is and what the plan was that you two worked out.
So my coach is Greg Frayne, so from New Zealand, ex-Commonwealth Games cyclist and Olympic cyclist. I've been working with Greg since about 2017. So almost 10 years now. But we've got a good system. The nutrition was the main one and just that recovery process and what that looked like. So that was our big focus for the week. So I didn't check in with him each night. I think he knows that I'll reach out if I need to talk to him, and he's always there on the end of the phone if I need him. So It's quite good that I can do that. But I quite often, and I kind of said this in my post-race post, I get overwhelmed sometimes with socials.
Yeah. And
so, and quite often I won't realize I'm doing it, but I'll just leave my phone somewhere and forget about it. I try to, I try and reply to people and comment and stuff, but sometimes it just gets a bit much and I'll just go quiet for a bit. Yeah. So
you deserve that in the middle of your race. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, so for your day 2, you biked a 9:17:09, which puts you into 8th place overall. Was there anything about day 2 that stuck out for you?
There were a couple of things that happened. We got to the first 90K and I was like, I stopped to have my peanut butter sandwich. And I was like, guys, we're a third of the way already. And they were like, yeah, you've still got 180 to go. But no, I was stoked. That first 90 went so fast. And I kind of knew that would happen because it's a new place, you're riding through new areas, and it does help with keeping you fresh. But I'd just overtaken a couple of lads, and then I was like, nah, it's 90K, it's 3 hours, it's feed time. And then did the loop, and Chris and the kids were there standing on the gravel pit cheering me on, so that was quite cool to see them because they weren't technically the crew, they couldn't actually come on the side of the road. So but it was nice that they could be there and watch, and I could hear them yelling, so that was cool. And then the crew had worked out that I probably hadn't drank quite enough just after that lap, and so they pulled me over. And I stopped and I was like, what's up? And they're like, you haven't drank enough. You need to drink more. Take this bottle, make sure this is drank. And I was like, cool. And so I tried to inhale some vinegar chips at this point. And inhale is what I did, and I think it went down the wrong hole. And so I had this coughing fit on the side of the road, and I stood there and I'm like trying to cough this chip out. And then I'm like, I need to get going. And CJ's just like, it's okay, you've got time. And I was like, no, I haven't. And I was just choking on this chip. And and then even once I rode off, I was still like coughing my way up the little hill just afterwards. And yeah, but that was quite funny because we were trying to be so efficient with our like little feed stops. And then, of course, I had a choking fit. So that was pretty entertaining. And then, once we got onto that David Low Way back into town, bit of a tailwind and a little bit of rain, but it wasn't cold, so it didn't bother me at all. You just kind of carry on. And once we got into David Low Way, I was waiting for my last, because I had a bit of Musashi in my bottle, and I was like asking for the last bit to get me through the last 30 Ks, and they kept they'd drive ahead, stop, and then once I got close, they'd move again. And in my head, I'm like, why do you keep driving off? I want my bottle. And then it turns out that CJ wasn't happy with any of the stops in terms of safety, so he just kept moving until he was happy with one. Yeah. And in my head, I'm just focused on this Musashi bottle that I want, and he kept moving, and I'm like, what are you doing? But so once I got that last Musashi bottle, I was pretty happy and just drilled it the way home. And I actually weirdly felt stronger at the end of day 2 than I did at the end of day 1. So that was
not dehydrated this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, stoked with day 2.
Yeah. All right. Well, at the end of day 2, the leaders in the women's side of the race got even tighter together. Anna Longdale, Brittany Litton had a tear of a day for day 2, and yourself, you were all within 5 minutes and 21 seconds for the start of day 3. Now, you've had some great running times. I saw that you won the Topo Marathon in a 3:05. You've had a half marathon at 1:24. Were you confident that you had put yourself in the position to run this race to the finish line and get first place? Or were you still of the mind of, I want to get it done? Where were you? How had your time, or how had your mind maybe processed things over the first 2 days and set you up for day 3?
It was definitely tight at the top there. And what I was trying to do was not get sucked into running someone else's race, I guess. Yeah. So I knew what I trained for, and I knew that if I did what I trained for, I would be able to achieve what I wanted. Right. I wasn't sure, Strava is great or bad sometimes. And completely honestly, I had maybe probably 4 weeks out from the race. I'd seen some of Brett's training days, and I was like, whew. That's not what my training looks like. Maybe I haven't done enough. I'm definitely not going to be fast enough. So that had been a bit of a mental battle going, wow, Brett's absolutely smashing her training, and it's going to be awesome to watch what she does in front of me. So I expected her to run off the front and potentially not see her for the day, to be honest. I know that she obviously then picked up a bit of a knee niggle as well, so I knew that was factored in. I tried to make sure that on the night before the run, I was focusing on what I needed to do, and I needed to run 5:30s, and that was all I needed to do to have a pretty solid race. So yeah, that was what I set out to do, and we talked about it quite a bit. And the crew was like how easy that first part of the day should feel, and it should feel like I'm jogging. And yeah, so I set off and I looked down. I was like 5:15, slow down, and yeah. So I did actually run the first 5K. A little bit faster than I was going to, but it still felt very easy. And so I didn't panic too much. And it was funny because CJ had said to me, if we pick you up at that 5K mark and it's sub 22:30, there'll be problems. Like, he gave me the stern word. So that was pretty funny. And so I was like really watching that I didn't get there before 22:30. Yeah. But yeah, so got that first 5K out of the way, and then I'd said to Roy, so Roy was the only one pacing me, and he said to me, oh, when do you want me to jump in? And I said, look, I really want to do at least a marathon on my own, and I'd probably want to do like 50 on my own before like using you. And that was kind of before CJ had said, oh, look, there's sections where you're going to want him to join you for a 2 or 3K and like do the loop and stuff. So it's good to have people for those sections. And I was like, yeah, cool, okay. So I just trusted his, having done it twice already, he knows what he's talking about. So I was like trusting his judgment. I think I went through the half marathon point, and it felt pretty crazy. And then through that half marathon point was alongside the motorway, and it was pretty flat and tedious. Right. And we came into the housing estate, and I yelled at them out the window. I was like, Roy, I'm going to use you on that motorway bit next time because that was boring. So yeah, he definitely knew I wanted him on that bit on the way back.
Yeah, let's take a look at your first marathon. You clocked in around 3:50. I was trying to do the math off the splits from the timing, but we do have a clip from the live stream that I want to play for you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we have our leading 2 females on course. We have Brittany Litton and Nat Dodd, running pretty well side by side.
Oh my goodness.
These guys have been at the pointy end of the female field, if not the entire race, all weekend. It was our first female cyclist. Turning around the corner.
Well done, mate. All the way straight, you know the way.
Racing also tripping her partner. Her pace there, and they turn around, they head for home, 42 kilometers down, 42.
Well, that for people that are just listening on the podcast, you missed the visual there of the lungefluencer. On social media, you've been using this lungefluencer, and you did a lunge right there at the turnaround point. And to describe what happened for the people that's just listening on the podcast.
Yeah, so I forgot to tell Roy that I was going to do that lunge, and he almost tripped over me, which I didn't even know this had happened until someone had sent it to me that night and was like, what an epic lunge, but you almost took out Roy. And then I saw it and I was like, Roy, why didn't you say anything? He was like, it's fine, I jumped.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had no idea that he was there. Oh, I knew he was there, sorry. I didn't tell him what I was going to do.
Right.
Yeah, so it was pretty funny.
So where does this lungefluencer come from? How did this start, and why are you doing this?
Honestly, I'm not sure how it started. I think one day at a presentation, it might have been the Topol Marathon I won, and I'd just come down the stairs and my friend Jana was taking a photo, and I lunged for the photo.
Oh, yeah.
And someone was like, "Oh, I love the lunge with the photo," or whatever. And so then I did it another time at another presentation, and then it somehow has evolved into this thing where I just lunge mid-race. And yeah, and so I decided to just make it a hashtag, and I see I'm the only one that uses it, but it sounds great.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got to have your own hashtag. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, right after that clip, we didn't run it long enough. You got a shout out from the team at APAC Ingredients, and I understand that's where you work. What does APAC do, and what do you do there? And who was watching from there?
Yeah, so I'm the operations manager, and we source raw materials for pet food manufacturers here in New Zealand, and then we also make organ powders that we sell into the US. So yeah, I used to work in a bike shop and run a tourism business, so this has been a massive change for me. Almost 2 years ago now. But yeah, these guys are awesome. So I've got Sam and Vincent are my bosses, and it's just the three of us. And then we've got a couple of directors as well that come in and work as well. But yeah, so they were watching for the live stream all weekend, and so it was awesome. Vincent was sending me videos of him and the family watching it on day one and day two, and they're all involved, like the wife and the kids as well. So pretty awesome, the support I've got from these guys, and the flexibility to train and work has been unreal, and I'm very grateful to them for what they do. It makes doing these things a lot easier when your workplace is on board with it.
Well, I'm glad they were able to tune into the live stream and see that action. That was the purpose behind it, is for all those people that hear about these things that you do and they think you're crazy, but they don't have any understanding of what it actually is. Now they get a chance to see it. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I'm not sure how good they were at work on Monday, but at least they got to watch me, so it was cool.
Yeah. Well, finishing up the numbers, you finished the double marathon in 7:57:33, so sub 8 hours, spectacular. And your race, as we mentioned earlier, was a 25:16:26, and that puts you in 4th place overall. Those final numbers, they don't come without your crew helping you out along the way. And one of the other things that you mentioned was that one of your whys was to beat Craig's time. And Craig's best time at the Ultraman was 26:24:09. So you did that. How much were you rubbing that in?
I tried not to rub it in too much, because obviously he was pretty important to the race too, along with Roy and Harry and Dawn and Chris. So yeah, definitely a big unit. And I think I said in my post, the speech, I thought I knew these guys pretty well already, but this week has just absolutely solidified that. And I'm crowing for Roy in Ultraman New Zealand in December, and hopefully for Harry as well.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask you. You had 2 people on your crew, Roy and Harriet, who are going to do Ultraman New Zealand. So how do you decide which one you crew for?
They might do a ring toss or something, coin toss, see what I get. But no, I think there's a couple of other people, when I was talking to them at Ironman New Zealand, we were talking about it, and there's a couple of others there that are going to come down and help as well. So I'd say we'll be one big unit, and I'll probably be on Roy's team, and then I'll be cheering on Harry as well.
Now, going back to Craig for a second, because he had done the race twice before, Were there any specific tips that he gave you about the Noosa course that maybe you hadn't thought of with your coach, or that you couldn't find in the racing handbooks and stuff online?
It's all the little things. So, kind of what happens each morning, and then like for the bike to lead out, he was like, the years I've done it, it's gone real hard at the start, and then it'll ease off once the car drops out. And he did say it's 1 year, obviously, he was with Simon, and so they absolutely blasted that start, and he was just hanging on. But he said just be prepared, it could go quite fast at the start, depending on the car. And then just like the little, even the hills and things on the bike course, he's like, big hill coming up, or left turn coming up. Like, he had remembered so much of it.
Mm-hmm.
So just all those little things. And then the end of day, he was like, realistically, if you're going to do medical, massage, talk, it's going to take you an hour. So, factor that into what you're preparing for that hour and bits and pieces like that.
Right.
And then for him and like the team car, he knew how he wanted that car set up for it to work the best. So yeah, all those inside things definitely do make a difference. And it meant that I just didn't even need to worry about crew. Like,
Right.
he really did captain it. So that was awesome. But it was also good as well. He whilst he would give his opinion on what I needed to do, if I said to him, like on the run, for example, I had a bit of, that's right, on the morning of the run, had I have had food on me, I would have projectile vomited, but I had nothing in. So it was just this horrible, like, dry reaching when I first woke up. And I was like, oh, this is not a good start to the morning. And so I was obviously real reluctant to put gels and stuff in straight away. So for the first hour, I just went water only. And that's normally my plan anyway. I normally don't put anything in for the first hour. But he was like, you sure you want to put gel in? You sure you want to put gel in? And I was like, nope, like, I'm good. I just need to let my tummy settle and get into it. So he was really good on that as well. Like, he respects when I said, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
So it just like perfect team dynamics, really.
Yeah.
And their dancing was just on point.
Got to keep the spirits up.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what's going to be next for you? I know you did like a 220 kilometer gravel race to also warm up for this, maybe some more gravel racing. You organize some cyclocross yourself where you live. What's coming up? Maybe a New Zealand? What's in the future for Nat Dodd?
Yeah. I won an entry just before we came over. I won an entry to a 24-hour running relay. So that's in 4 weeks' time. So I'm hoping,
you'll be fine by then.
The body. Yes, hopefully the body feels all right at the moment. Obviously, definitely won't be running this week. Yeah, so that's a 5K loop in a forest in Christchurch, and there's me and one other person in a team at the moment. So we worked out we could do 120K each, but we'll see. I might try and get some others in the team as well, just to make it not quite so big. But yeah, it's just a bit of fun because some friends organise it and they're doing it as a fundraiser for their cause. So yeah, that was why I ended up with the free entry. So I'm keen to see that through. Even if I walk, that's fine. But yes, our cyclocross season is coming up. That starts in 3 weeks' time. We're pretty much set up for it. I've just got to, get everyone entered and do the socials for that and sponsors and bits and pieces. So that will keep me busy through winter. And And then in terms of like races past that, I'm undecided at this stage. It feels like Ultraman was a good distance for me. Like I really enjoyed the longer stuff. I thought Ironman was good for me, but maybe Ultraman's even better. But yeah, certainly there'll be missions with the guys that I ride with around here, and probably some tramping and that sort of stuff. But yeah, I'll just wait. I don't want to just enter a race for entering it at the moment. So I've got to be invested in it. And that comes back from that whole with Ironman. I just wasn't sure that I was in the right headspace for it. So I don't want to just enter something for the sake of entering and then not actually enjoy it and be able to give it what I want. So yeah, who knows?
And are you looking at going back to the Ironman World Championships again?
I reckon one day I probably will. My bank balance needs to recover slightly.
Yeah.
It's for amateurs it's so expensive to do these things. And and like Charlie, my stepdaughter, she's into gymnastics now, so that's the other thing to juggle this winter is I think she's got 4 or 5 competitions. Yeah.
Travel.
So yeah. I think in June I've got three weekends in a row in Christchurch. So and that's a kind of 4 to 5 hour drive for us. So it'll be a busy winter, even if I'm not racing and stuff. But I'd love to go back to Kona now that I've got my nutrition sorted. Because I had to stop twice in Kona. So, that 10 hour could be pretty close without those stops, to be honest. So, it would be good to go back and give it a second go at some point. So, we'll see. Yeah.
Well, between you and Mark Thomson, New Zealand absolutely dominated the Ultraman Australia this year. So great job out there by you Kiwis. And I guess that explains why you guys deserve your own race now.
Yeah, I mean, everyone did a fantastic job that weekend, but it was pretty cool to see the Kiwis on top. And as I said in my speech, like real impressed with all the ladies out there as well. And it's pretty cool to be racing alongside Anna and Brittany. So that was an epic weekend, really. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your insights and stories from the weekend and telling us about how you were able to get to the top of the podium in the women's race. I appreciate your time, and have fun in the crewing side of this when you get there in December.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Larry. And thanks to you for the live streaming and that, and the Dream Team as well for putting an epic event on. That was pretty unreal. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Good luck.
Thanks.
Hey, if you liked what you heard today, please tell a friend. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We'd appreciate it if you'd rate and review the show while you're there. Drop the names of the people you think we should interview, and we'll get in touch with them and make that happen. Thank you for listening to 515, the Ultra Podcast, a production of 55 Enterprises. Now really, go subscribe now before you forget.